All right, my Aries friends, how are you today? Michael Eschenburg here, honest day, bringing you your monthly horoscope for June of 2020. All right, Aries, I'm going to be honest with you. You guys get it the best when it comes to these horoscopes because I can set the chart here to 0 degrees Aries and just go day by day with you. If you're an Aries, you should be checking out these daily horoscopes because they pertain to you so precise, especially if you're an Aries rising. All right, so either way, I get to do this with you, and unfortunately, I've reached out to this company to try to make the alterations to the rest of the chart. Either way, let's move forward with what the heck is going on with you in June. All right, now first, if you're new to this channel, please check it out. We do daily horoscopes here that dive deeper into all these aspects I'm going to be talking about. So we've got 2 eclipses coming up this month. Mars moves out of Pisces into Aries, where it's going to be until 2021, all right, because it's going to retrograde once every 2 years. Venus retrograde, we've got Mercury retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Pluto retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde. Okay, 6 of our planets are retrograde this month. Okay, just about everything with the exception of Uranus and Mars. Okay, and Chiron. So the majority of our planets are retrograde this month. Either way, if you're new to the channel, check it out because the dailies dive way deeper into what I'm going to be doing here right now. But let's get into it right off the gate on the 3rd here. Let me show you. On the 3rd, okay, we have Sun conjunct Venus. Okay, this happens once every year and a half, and it's really cool how these two play together. I'm going to put out a whole different video just on the pentagram of Venus and the Sun. Okay, it's really interesting. So these two make a point. Now, every 8 Earth years is 13 Venus years, and these two line up 5 times if the Sun is here in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and they form this beautiful star around the Sun. Okay, so it's a really beautiful connection when we have Venus and the Sun coming together, and especially in the sign of Gemini, we're questioning all of the things that we love. And with you, this being your 3rd house, this is your own thoughts. Okay, so Venus is moving through your thoughts and saying, what am I've conditioned myself since a young child. From a young child, I've conditioned myself to think this way, to love these things, to appreciate these things, to honor these things, to not like these things, or I go toward this and I run from this. And this knowledge, there seems to be a lot of insight coming to you. All right, specifically to you, because we have this Venus-Sun conjunction, Sun being the hero of our story and Venus being our love, wants, and desires, right? Those loves, want, and desires are all up for question right now with Venus retrograde. All right. And we're going to have an eclipse here very shortly. Okay. So there's a lot of energy that's going on for you that's rethinking. So this whole month ahead is a lot of rethinking and reevaluating. Okay. Now the lunar eclipse is going to happen on the 5th, just 2 days later, as the moon's going to be in Sagittarius. Okay. So now the Sun is past Venus. Venus is back there. And now we're fully illuminating. This is your 9th house. 9th house being of travel, being of higher education, knowledge, communication, information, philosophies, religions, things like that. Okay, so this eclipse, although it is quite a bit off of the node, as long as we're within 18 degrees, this qualifies for an eclipse. This lunar eclipse being so far off of the node, okay, we're only going to see an edge of this moon here. We're only going to see an edge of the shadow of the Earth on the moon. However, what that means is we're going to have a really turbo solar eclipse, a turbo super solar eclipse happening here at the end of the month, and that's going to be on the 21st, okay, right on the solstice, which is freaking cool, man. All right, so we'll get there in a second. So Mars, Neptune, and the moon all conjunct together in the sign of Pisces here on the 13th. Okay, let me scooch ahead. So it's a couple hours earlier in the day. Either way, we've got Mars, our planet of action, Neptune, our planet of dreams, imagination, okay, and the moon is our emotional needs. all of these coming together in your 12th house, okay? This is about completion. You're completing a task, completing a journey. Your heart is very into this, and it's just like something of your dreams is coming true. This is something you've been working for toward a long time is coming to fruition here, and you're really, really ready to begin a new journey. All right, so it's a very, very exciting energy happening there on the 13th, which is Saturday the 13th. For any superstitious friends, it's not going to happen on a Friday. Okay, after that, we've got Mercury on the 18th is now moving retrograde. Okay, so now Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, all retrograde. Okay, Mercury retrograde in Cancer, this is your 4th house. This is about home. This is about family. All right, this is about marriage. You know, your love life here at home, not love affairs or relationships necessarily, but this is like the home life. Okay, so there's meaning we're doing a lot of thinking when it comes to heart and home, a lot of reevaluating. Retrogrades are, the big one is Venus. The big one is Venus here. You know, it's like we can be lost in our own minds, lost in our heads during this time with Venus retrograde in the 3rd house. It's like, well, what made me happy when I was, 2 years ago might not be making me happy now. And I want to break this cycle. It could be something very simple. It could be a Snickers bar or a Reese's cup, or it could be the way that you're viewing something, or it could be potentially with the 12th house energy that's going on here with Mars and Neptune and Pisces. This could be addictions. Oh, I used to love smoking weed. It doesn't really serve me anymore, or I used to love going to the bar and drinking, and now it's just like, well, this, times have shifted and changed. And that's the beauty of the mutable sign of Gemini, is things change. So the eclipses that are coming up here in Gemini, or the eclipse that's coming up, the Sun Venus conjunction Gemini, we're reevaluating and we're going with those changes, right? So it's like, my Aries friends, you're strong, you're putting the foot to the pedal, you're making things happen. And it's just like, it's just time to reevaluate what kind of fat that we're trimming from our lives, and what can we do on the home front that's going to spark up, spruce up our home. It's just like, this is an extension of our physical being, the body temple, our home temple. So there's going to be a lot of rethinking. How can I reevaluate? What can I redo around the home to make it more up to snuff with my needs, wants, and expectations? Because those needs, wants, and expectations have shifted, right? So maybe it's like, whatever it is, that's up to you. Let me come back to the chart here. All right. So that is on the 18th. Now on the 21st, this is the big daddy. This is the big one. Okay. 0 degrees of Cancer. Moon, 0 degrees of Cancer. This is only 1 degree off of the North Node. Okay. This is going to be a very epic solar eclipse. This is going to be similar to what we had seen in 2017. That was over here in the sign of Leo at 21, 23 degrees of Leo. Well, now this is happening here. Although the node itself is in Gemini, right? But the energy is in Cancer. So the node is saying, rethinking our thoughts, reevaluating. But this is about our feels, right? The moon is home. This is our nurturing and caring and compassion. And with Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde all at the same time, we're really putting a lot of emphasis, and especially for you, my Aries friends, on the home front and what's making us happy here at home and with the family. How can I best communicate myself to my lover, my partner, my family? How can we work through these changes that we're all going through? When I was a child, I wore diapers and I drank out of bottles, and then I became a kid, and then I drank out of sippy cups and then straws, and now I'm an adult and I'm older and I have my own authority, and I choose to not have a straw. So these things change, and it's just about going with the flow of those things and adapting, right? So however that makes sense and works for you. So the solar eclipse is a big whopper. Again, we're going to talk about the intricacies more of that in the dailies, but again, for you, this eclipse is happening in the home front. Now, depending on where you're at as an Aries, this is set up as 0 degrees. You got to know your chart, okay? It was part of the reason I didn't do these in May. I am a 2 degrees, this is important, I'm a 2 degrees Virgo rising. I have a friend that's a 28 degrees Virgo rising. So, when you check your monthly horoscopes or horoscopes in general, you want to more so look at your rising. It can affect your sun. A lot of people say check your sun, moon, your Venus, your rising. This really deals more with the rising. This is where the sun was at the time you were born. Okay. So again, I'm at 2 degrees, so the chart makes sense for me. My friend's at 28 degrees. It's almost as if she reads better from the Libra aspect opposed to the Virgo aspect. You know what I'm saying? So depending on where you're at, this might not actually be in your 4th house. This eclipse might very well be in your 3rd house, okay? Which again is about information coming into you, which is going to be powerful. That's going to literally blow you away and say, okay, I need to make these changes in my life. There's no question about it. It's just it's a necessary step to get to me to where I'm going. Now on the 23rd, we've got Neptune station direct, okay? So it almost made it to 21 degrees, not quite, and then for the next 6 months, it's gonna retrograde back, all right? It was stuck at 16 degrees for a while, so it moved almost 5 degrees forward, retrograde back. So it's just this little tick-tock that it does every single year, just like the bigger outer planets do. It takes 16 years to get through this sign, all right? Not new, just reevaluating, and we're again, with this Neptune being our dreams, our imaginations, as well as the black hole, the abyss, the oneness, the nothingness, the media, the confusion. I don't know what is real, what is the truth, what is the lie, and that's up to us during this month to figure out for ourselves, okay? So this is like the dreamy trickster, if you will, is a house of mirrors, and we don't know what we're looking at. And it's up to us to truly figure it out. Now on the 24th, Venus, yay, stations direct, okay? Again, this is here in your 3rd house. It might even come back in your 2nd house, so Venus might come back to your money sign, depending on where your rising is. If you don't know, if you'd like a reading from me, by all means, reach out. Happy to do a reading for you. With all this energy going on, there's so much, right? So Venus station direct, which is good. We're going to have forward momentum again. Hopefully everyone lasted through this. The relationships have been difficult. Relationships are always difficult during this Venus retrograde. And it being in your 3rd house primarily with you is a mental game. This has been a mental game. And if this is coming into your 2nd house, you know your own chart, and that means it's coming from mental to financial, then financial back into mental. Right? So we're trying to figure out a way to balance our finances and our own thought process. Are we holding ourselves back? Are we passionate and loving with what we want to do, and we can move forward, chasing our dreams and aligning with our dreams, not just chasing, aligning with our dreams this month, right? Now on the 22nd through the 30th, it's already started to happen here. Jupiter hits the 24 degrees. Okay, where Pluto's at. So this is our 2nd Jupiter-Pluto conjunction of Capricorn. This is extremely important if you're watching what's going on here in the United States as far as these peaceful protests and riots are concerned. This is a big deal. Okay, this is the meat behind of what's going on right now. We, the people, the society, are the government. Okay, Saturn is the government. Jupiter here is the expansion. Pluto is the death and transformation. We have an expansive use of power in our government. But we must remember the people are the government. The community, you and I, are the government, right? So we have a vulgar display of power that needs to be changed. It needs to die. So this conjunction here is a big part of it. Okay, and then it's going to happen again when Jupiter goes direct later and later in the year, and then Jupiter and Pluto, or Jupiter and Saturn, are going to meet up here at this 0 degrees on the solstice. Okay, a December winter solstice. So this is a big changes happening within our government, and not just here in the United States. This is the government's worldwide, right? It doesn't matter where you are, what country you're in. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes here that are up for change. Okay, so that's the 22nd through the 30th, and we're still going to feel that in the beginning of July. Okay, these new things, because Saturn itself, it's not until like July 2nd that Saturn actually enters back into Capricorn. Okay. I'll show you that real quick. Dude. July 1st, July 2nd. There you go. Now Saturn's back in Capricorn. All right, so either way, we're ending this, this big transitions ending with this month. A big sense of like power. Where is my power? Where is my power going? How do I recognize myself as the authority? How am I allowing the space to create? How am I allowing space in my life to create the change that I need? That space has to exist, right? If my cup is already full of concepts and ideas, because so much is happening in your mental game of Gemini, third house for you, right? So if my cup is already full of ideas, it's absolutely impossible, or my piggy bank's full of ideas. If you had $1,000 bill or $1 million check, you couldn't shove it in there because it's full of pennies. And I'm not saying that the $1 million of pennies, that's irrelevant. Either way, the cup is full. So we have to create the space in our lives. That's what Venus's job is during the retrograde right now. That's what Mercury's job is during the retrograde that's coming up, is to create the space in our lives to allow the change to manifest. Okay, and to trust the process of these bigger cycles that are going on behind the scenes, these outer planets, Jupiter, Pluto, that are happening up in Capricorn, Neptune home in Pisces, Saturn in Aquarius. Trusting these outer planets, these gears that are just doing their job. They're not as in your face as Venus, Mercury, and Mars. They're not as in your face as the moon. We see the effects of the moon. We see the tides rise and lower every day. We see the wind blow. We don't necessarily see the effects of the outer planets so much. But we have to trust that they're doing their job, and they certainly are, And follow me along with the dailies again, because we talk about all of this stuff and try to break it down in a really fun kind of way. So my Aries friends, have a beautiful month of June ahead of you. We're kicking off the summer with a bang. We got 2 eclipses coming up this month. Mars moving home into Aries. All right. Saturn practically moving back into Capricorn. A lot of retrogrades means we're a lot of rethinking and a lot of reevaluating. Pretty good opportunity for some life-changing experiences through June, entering into July. It's going to be a fresh face for this summer. My Aries friends, have a beautiful time, and we'll see you tomorrow.